Wolfie, Thursday.
Yo,
Lakers didn't do too good, man, but we'll talk about it. It's good to see you. Let's
good to see you too, man.
Turn it up, Jado.
Nice intro,
Good.
man.
You like that little intro? A little something,
Yeah,
something.
that was such a good intro. Yeah.
You're entering into the Terror Dome. I am Terror Dome. I am on with my main man, Wolfie. Good to see you, Wolf.
Good to see you too, man. Ready for a good show? Try to keep this like an hour or so. Try to
yes, we are. We have committed, ladies and gentlemen. This will not be a saga. Me and Wolfie have said to ourselves, we're gonna do this right. Let me go ahead and shout out the chat as the first Golden Domers and Wolf Packers. Miss Red Jet Shell in here bright and early. We're all in our places with bright, shiny faces. That's what they used to say on Little Rascals. Good to see you, Miss Red Jet Shell. We got David Corona. I was on with him and the boys last night. We had some deep, deep philosophical conversations, and I hope I helped David with the help of the Lord, man. Great to see you this morning. Ty Austin, saw him last night too on East Coast Red and Gold. Hey, man, y'all do your thing over there, man. The Barbara Walters of Jess is the Barbara Walters of the Content Creation University. Okay. Damn, that's who she is. That's who she is. And I'll engage targets as they appear. Wolfie.
Yo.
Lakers went down, man.
They did.
Lakers went down hard.
LeBron James' career officially shut, man.
Yeah, man. It was I mean, it was a slow train coming. We saw it got to 3-1, and it just really got a little tougher. LeBron couldn't get things really going. He had 22 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and we did our thing against Ant-Man, but Rudy Gobert acted a fool. Rudy Gobert was like, I will play some defense and annihilate you guys and send you home packing. And he did. Luka Doncic had 28, 7 rebounds and 9 assists, but a double-double, 27 points, 24 rebounds for Rudy Gobert, man, and just a hawk in terms of defense. It reminded me, and it was reticent of how we drafted, because defense is first and foremost. You not doing nothing until you can stop the run, switching over to football, and get after the passer and limit the amount of points that your opponent has. It's a premise in basketball. It's the same premise in baseball. You got to have good pitching. In football, you got to have defense. I was going to say D, but everybody was going to say pause.
Yeah. Get the comments up, man. Like, that helps push up the algorithm. Okay.
Yeah, man. Let
me see. Yeah, I mean, like, very little that I know about basketball. I'm assuming, like, Steph Curry is not good at defense either, right? Because he's small. Like, that's just because he's small, right?
Yeah.
Well, like, you could say he's on the same tier as, Luka, right? Pretty much earlier, right?
He's not known for his defense.
So if you got a great shooter, someone who's great on offense to do his job, maybe it's the Lakers' fault for not having a good defensive player. Like, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, maybe this is just based off social media from what I've seen from like TikTok and stuff like that. So I do catch some basketball things. From what I've seen, a lot of people are trying to throw Luka under the bus. And it's like, well, how about you give him a good defensive player? How about you give him a good defense where he could just go out and do his offensive thing while, the defense, like a Draymond, something like that. Go get a good defense out there.
You got to have a Draymond.
Support the guy. Like, and I feel like a lot of Lakers fans who I'm seeing on social media is throwing it. Maybe Nico was right. I'm like, no, even I know that's like, no. Like, it's no. You traded an all-star, what would be considered an all-pro in a football player, And it's just like, how about, you get a good defensive player, support the guy, support his deficiencies. That way, this guy can excel in the offense while the rest can excel in the defense. And now that you have Luka, who could do those great offensive things, now you can go in the draft, whatever it may be, free agency next year, and just focus on that defensive side of the ball. And at that point, I feel like you guys have a good team because Luka, from what I hear, is basically two players who can shoot. Right? He's that good.
Yeah, Luka and LeBron are virtually the same player. But LeBron will run down. He will play some defense, but Luka just ain't known for his. And he's a wonderful, wonderful, skilled passer. He's been all NBA, and LeBron is 40. 40 is 40, man. 40. It ain't 30. Time catches up with all. Father Time is undefeated, but still it was a decent year. We had that excitement, and we're now going fishing. He said Lakers don't have that traditional athleticism. They were throwing empty alleys. Yes, shaking my head. Yeah, man, it got a little rough.
Yeah. So what do they do with Bronny James now? LeBron's going to retire and he's going to be gone. Like, what do they do with him? Did they now cast him the side, or like what's happening here?
Bronny's a developmental player, man. He's just like, my thing about Bronny James is, if you can name who was the 56th and the 54th player who was drafted last year, because Bronny James was at 55. Please tell me how they are doing. The guy got drafted late in the second round. It's only 2 rounds for the NBA, and he's a developmental.
There's only 2 rounds in the draft.
You don't need but 2 rounds because you got 12 players on the team, and he was one of the end. It's like being drafted in the 7th round or something. So he's okay. He's okay for a developmental player. He's got to develop. And mind you, in college, the guy had a heart problem. He had to sit out, I think, a half a year, if not, and y'all can correct me in the chat. He had to be out a whole year. The same applies for these guys who were drafted 54, 56, 58 in the NBA draft. It's just,
so it's like being drafted in the 6th or 7th round at that point. Then
exactly.
Because if that's the case, then that changes entirely. I thought there was like 4 or 5 rounds. I knew there wasn't like 7 or anything, but I thought it was like 4 or 5.
No,
but if there's literally just 2 rounds, then
it's 2 rounds, and the guy got drafted. It ain't but 60 picks. It's 30 teams in the NBA, 2 rounds. The guy was at 55. Good Lord. Everybody's acting like, oh, he took somebody's spot. Oh my God. What did you do? The kid got drafted way late. He brought to the Lakers. It's just his last name, and it's just the legacy behind LeBron, and everybody's like, oh, nepotism. And a lot of my 40, this is what hurts me. A lot of these 49er fans who have a coach named Shanahan are talking about nepotism. Remember Mike?
True.
These guys and those guys named McCaffrey and coaches like that. They've all McKay, CJ Beathard. Does anybody remember Beathard? Do you think it was his great skills or the fact that Bobby Beathard was in the National Football League, his granddad? This stuff helps. There's going to be an Arch Manning next year in the draft. Anybody heard of Peyton? Anybody heard of Eli? Archie Manning. This is nepotism. It's legacy. It's genes. It's whatever it is. But because you feeling such a kind of way about LeBron James, you hate this kid. You hate the pick and everything. But he's just a developmental guy, man, and he has improved over time. He has improved over the year.
Papa J in the house. Can see me. I can see it. As for the Luka signing thing, I'll repeat myself here. I don't think it was bad. I just think that you guys traded for another offensive player when you guys needed defense, and that's what happens. But next year, you guys know what to do. You have Luka. People call him Luka Dookie. He's actually crazy. I feel like I know I'm a casual and I don't know a lot about basketball, but I do know like it takes two sides of a coin to win a basketball game. And when you have one side of the coin with Luka, you just gotta get a good defense and you're good. I feel like that'd be the case. And Ty Allison says Steph is much better defender than Luka. Stop it. I'm like, I don't know. I've watched a few Warriors games. I haven't seen Steph do some crazy defensive stuff. That's all I'm saying. I haven't seen. I don't know, man.
You're great. He's not known for his skills and his defensive skills. When you think Steph Curry, you're thinking threes. You're thinking ball handling, and set the NBA on fire with his threes. And that's who Steph is. Nobody says, "Oh man, that's Steph." It's like going to Thanksgiving dinner and asking for, "Oh man, you know what? I hope they have some good beets. Oh, I would really like a good beet. Who sells good beets? Don't nobody do that. Don't nobody ask for the beets, but they're a nice, part of your meal. Very, very healthy. I sit here as a man who drinks beet juice to be a little healthier. You're not looking for beets, but it's healthy. Steph Curry is known for his Steph Curry is known for his offensive prowess as well as Luka, known for their offensive prowess. They're not known for their defense. They just they don't really do that much. Love and subscribe, like and subscribe both channels. Thank you, Papa J, being a good promoter. You promote better than Don King.
He's a good man. He's the best out there.
Thank y'all. Yeah, man. Hit both of them things, man. Let's double down on get some subscribers.
He's also a Warriors fan, so that makes it twice as awesome.
Y'all are still in it. Y'all still in the thick of things. So
still in it. We're still in it. You're still in it. They purposely lost the last game. They purposely lost that one.
We gone fishing. That's how Charles Barkley and the boys dog you when you lose and you go home. They say, "Oh, they gone fishing," and going fishing for it's time to go to Cancun.
So, are you gonna be? How sad are you gonna be that LeBron's retiring? I know you're not I know you're more of an NJ than LeBron thing, but I know you still respect LeBron as a player, though. So, like, is this like the end of an era? Is this like? Obviously not Tom Brady, because Tom Brady's the greatest of all time, but the second greatest player of all time possibly retiring. It's got to be like that to an extent, right? It's got to be like, wow.
He has given a great deal to the league. You can't ignore. I remember watching him his rookie year. We got a package, myself and D. We were in DC, and we could go to 3 games. We bought a package. I don't know. It's great. It was like $150, 3 games, and our first one was LeBron James when he was in the Cleveland Cavaliers as a rookie, and he put up 25 that night, man. And this was as long as before D and I were married, so he's spanned the time span. Him and Tom Brady. Our first Super Bowl together was the one Tom Brady won against the Rams. That first one against the greatest show on turf. So as long as my relationship with the love of my life has been going, it's been Tom and LeBron. And, it endears itself to me because I keep track of time by sports and can remember where I was when I saw certain things and know the age and the time. Oh, who you got there? That little cat, a wolfie with a cat. I seen that cat come through there. All right, and
my cat. Okay, I was
I just saw Wolfie. I think moved.
She's a paid actor. Don't worry, she's a paid actor.
Okay, yeah,
right, she gets her nibbles. So don't
no,
worry.
No one was hurt during this stunt, ladies and gentlemen. The cat was not injured in any way. You have to put those disclaimers out.
I have to. Every time she pops into the videos I make, I always make sure that I credit her with paid actor every single time. Because sometimes she pops in my videos.
What's the cat name? What's her name?
Her name's Peanut.
Peanut.
Because she's a small ass cat. She's really small, and so I was like, okay, well that works. I thought about giving her like a human name or something like like Elizabeth or something, but it just didn't sit right. I was like, it's got to be something like weird and different. And I
a
thought
little
Peanut just kind of
quirky,
worked.
jovial.
Yeah, something like that, you know. So that
I hate.
works more.
I don't like people when they name their cat like Mr. or Mrs. Dithers or uh, Mr.
Right?
Stevenson or something like that. Like, why would you do that? Are you okay, Mr. Dithers? Or are you okay,
Yeah, the
Madam?
Mr. and Mrs. thing is kind of
Yeah, I don't like.
No offense to anybody who's watching that has a cat named that, but we're just saying we're not a fan of that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
It's just I know what you mean. It's off. Like it's just kind of like just name him this. It doesn't need to be Mr. or Mrs. Just name him this. It doesn't need to be Mrs. Whiskers. Just name him Whiskers.
It's just Whiskers. Are you okay, Mr. Whiskers?
If that's a cute little name that you want to give her, like that's like the nickname of the name.
It's your pet name.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. But the name, the official name, needs to just be Whiskers.
Yeah, just be Whiskers. Let's cut down.
So yeah, she's a paid actor of mine, and you know, I hopefully she gives me more views. So I try to get the cat in there.
My son loves cats. I'm a dog guy. If I ain't really a dog, I like fish, goldfish, little fish that you just feed the fish. We got a nice aquarium on the side of the wall, and I just like the fish, man. I don't want to clean up after anything. I don't want to do anything. I like it like that. First and foremost, they're first in my draftology of pets. Fish,
really, fish.
Yeah, fish are my guys.
Dang. Okay, I haven't seen that. I haven't heard that one before. Usually, fish are kind of like their side project kind of type thing. Like
Yeah, but if we're picking pets, if we have the draft of pets in the first round, the Terror Dome selection agency gets goldfish from the University of Miami.
That's a reach, in my opinion. That's a reach.
See, you see that as a reach, but it's
I see that as a reach.
And that brings us to our second topic here, man. The grades that we're getting all around the United States and the world for our draft. PFF says it was a D. How do you feel about the grades and how I call it draftology? How does that sit well with you?
When you first said, you told us like, oh, well, on the docket we got draftology. I was like, dude, I didn't do research for this. What do you mean? I thought I was going to have to rip out a paper. And I was like,
you're a professor.
I need more. I need more time.
Oh, you know.
Wolfie said, trade back. You can get a better thing. Get those fish later.
It's draftology.
All right. So the I understand a C, right? I would get a C. Like it sounds to me that I'm trying to like put it all together here. It sounds to me that they focus solely on their board alone than they did actually think like, okay, their needs and what they went for and what they got. Like if you think about their needs and what they went for and what they got and all that jazz, and considering the player themselves, like, okay, it wasn't my best guy on my board, but they did address this need, so this gives them a point. It sounds to me they solely just was like ranking, and so they immediately get a D. There was no real analysis to the situation. It doesn't matter their needs. It doesn't matter what they want. It doesn't matter their weaknesses or anything like that. It was just solely a draft board thing. Then I guess a D, because technically they did have reaches on the board, but I also don't take their philosophy to heart if that's how they grade things, because that's not how that works in a draft. You're going to end up like there's certain players you're going to reach 10 spots higher than most. You're going to take a guy over another guy because he has a better strength than this, even though that guy's supposed to be like consensus better, right? The 49ers have a weakness at run stopping. That's their biggest weakness, something they've been dying to stop for a long time. They got the best run stopper in the draft. And for you to rank them at even if you ranked them at 38 on your board, you have to understand that they also address their biggest needs. So it's like, okay, they should get extra points for that. No, they focusedly sold on, okay, you reached on Mikael Williams, you reached on Alfred Collins, you reached on Nick Martin. Like that, I definitely think they totally reached on that. Upton. The only one they didn't reach on was CJ West in their eyes. And I think that's what got them the D grade. And I think something like that, I don't respect though that grade itself. If you want to say C, if you were like, okay, C grade, I'm like, okay, that's fair. I'm like, if you want to be harsh, strict, and be like, they technically reached, they didn't address offensive line, which is their second biggest need outside of D line. There was better player. They could have traded back, like during the draft, like in the draftology of things, like they could have traded back. If they didn't want picks this year, they could have got picks next year and traded back 10 spots, 15 spots, and got an extra 6th or 7th or whatever, and then draft these guys who are reaches. There's more stuff they could have done and still got these guys. So like there's things you could break down and be like, okay, I'm going to be harsh on this grade, harsh on that, and I'm going to give them about a C. I feel like anything worse than a C for this draft is just either the reach aspect of your board or you're just a 49ers hater. There's no way that you can give this team even for a 49ers fan, like a lot of even the harshest 49ers fans that I've seen, because they absolutely want an offensive line. They're obsessed with an offensive line. Me too, right? Like that's something I feel like that we need. And we barely even touched that with a 7th round pick. And even them are giving them at least a C plus or C because they still addressed their biggest need, which was their D line. There's 2 D tackles and the D end. They addressed those with the top 5 picks in their draft because 5 because CJ West, but they got the steal in CJ West. So it's just kind of I don't like it. I don't like the grade just because I feel like it's disrespectful. It's not very deep of an analysis just because of your rank on a certain player. Like let's say like the best player available at, I'm trying to think of a team that has a ton of wide receivers. Like the Bears, for example, if they drafted the best available wide receiver to them at the time, they would have got an A grade. And it's like they don't need wide receivers. They have DJ Moore. They have Odunze. They need a tight end. They need a left tackle. They need something on defense. But you would have gave them an A plus straight up for just taking a wide receiver. And it's like that's not what they need. So you're not taking that into account. And that's why I think it's a little unfair to their grade is just unfair, and there's no real analysis to it. And I think that's kind of crazy for I'll end this with this. I think it's crazy for a site that's supposed to be research, statistics, percentages, measurements and all. Yeah, they're supposed to have all that, and yet they're basing their draft board and draft grades on their draft grades on their draft board. That is absolutely stupid, and I don't agree with that.
And that's the main thing you said. Their draft board isn't necessarily the draft board of a prospective team. And when you use the term reach, I seen Ty said reach is so dumb. It is for some that have a bigger grade on somebody than you might, and that's all well and good, but just they have to have a term to quantify that from their perspective. And it's supposed to be clearly objective, as you said. They did all the research and the study and everything, that they rank those players by how well they are supposed to perform given their size, given their productivity in college, given their traits and everything. And they rank them. But if it's the 49ers looking for a 49er player, if it's a commander looking for a commander player, somebody who has the wherewithal, the traits and characteristics that would fit what you need, they're not going to align up sometimes. It just simply is that. So a reach for, the New York Jets is not necessarily a reach for the San Francisco 49ers or the Los Angeles Rams, because they have identified their board. We don't know what their board said. And for the people who said, well, we didn't address the offensive line thing. My man Tony was on. Shout out to Tony, man. He was on. What was it? Tuesday? Yeah, it was Tuesday. And he brought up this really valid point, because we picked up Upton Stout at pick 100, right? And Tony said, we were going to go after an offensive tackle at that pick. But he said, look back and see who got picked 99th and 98th. And I went back and looked at the draft order. In the 99th pick, the Raiders picked up offensive tackle Charles Grant from William and Mary. And before that, they picked back-to-back offensive tackles as a kid named Rogers that they picked up as well from Texas Tech, Caleb Rogers. So they were in a scramble.
Two players 49ers were interested in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on interviews.
Based on interviews, those were the two tackles that we were interested in. They took both of them. So now the 49ers are in the scramble. He's like, well, who we got here? Let's go. The next guy up we got is Upton Stout. And he wasn't supposed to go but later. But now, hey, Upton, you're up, buddy. A good name for you, Up. And you have to, what looks like a reach, and time will tell if it was a reach. Upton Stout could be an all-pro for the next 5 years.
Looks like Quan Williams, really.
You never know. But what we were gonna do is get Charles Grant. I know we were gonna get Charles Grant, man. We needed offensive line help. He's smart. He's from William and Mary University. Solid ball player. Seems like a 49er. Not my favorite tackle. Not the best tackle in the world coming out of this draft, but he kind of fit the mode of what's a guy for the 49ers. And the team before you snaked him. Remember, you were we were hoping somebody would fall, and we said, okay, we'll get him later because he's ranked. I forgot who the guy was, and we were mock drafting, and I think it was Atlanta or the Ravens. Somebody took him just before our next pick. And you said, you bitch. Stuff really happens. It does. But
it does.
To come back and give you a D because you made that pick after your guy gets picked, well, that's a little loose in the pants to me. I just know.
Yeah. I do disagree with Ty Alston. Of course, you and I disagree a lot. I do think there is an extent to a reach. There you can reach for a player. I do think it's possible to do that, but it's just based on is this guy the best available player that fits your scheme that's ranked around this area? That's what I feel like matters. So you're right about like individual needs. So it's like, does he fit the scheme? Will he does he fit the culture? There's like other aspects to a player why someone will be higher on their board. For example, Nick Martin, right? Great, like I love his film. He does look like a Dre Greenlaw type, but 110% that guy would have been there in the 4th round, right?
Yeah.
So I think that I do think that there's an extent to a reach. Yes, like if you pick up a player 10 picks, 15 picks around their average little area and stuff like that, above a few other options that you could possibly get, then that's potentially not a reach. I feel like that's fair. Like Mikael Williams, for example, people called that a reach. I'm like, I don't think so. He would have been picked at 19. He would have been picked at 20. So that's not a reach because your next pick is at 43. So you have to take him.
For us, we learned that John Lynch said we were getting ready to move up to get him. Because that's who they really wanted. That's not a reach. That was for their board. That was a steal. They didn't think he would be there. So it's all to how you're looking at it to say who's reaching and who's not.
Well, it's kind of like, okay, if you have pick 11, right, and your next pick is 43, okay, and for a fact Mikael Williams is going to go between that area regardless. Like at some point, the guy would have been taken before 43 for sure. Then you take him. Then you take that guy. Then you have to take him because he's the best available D end. And then you're not going to be able to get him at 43, who fits your scheme. Then you take him at 11. That's what you got to do. It's kind of like, but that's why I feel like Nick Martin is still a reach because he would have been there at 100 when we had that pick at 100. He would have been there at 113. I feel like, that's why I feel like is where the reach comes from.
And I for me, I thought the kid from Notre Dame would have been a better fit to as a
Jack
49er
Kaiser.
traditionally. Yeah, I thought they would go for him or and we had drafted Barrett out of Clemson. It was just some other guys who had more productivity. And Demetrius Knight was not there. That was my first linebacker overall. That's who I would have gotten, but he was already gone. But I get it. They go with a little bit of undersized guy, had an injury. It didn't quite mesh with thinking in terms of what the 49ers would go for, but I get it. If you felt like that was your guy, you got to just jump up there and get it.
Well,
You got to get it while it's there.
so Ty Elson says that the reach based on who's ranking. Well, then at 11, if I feel like CJ West is the best D tackle, I guess I'll take him at 11. So it's kind of like there is an extent to a reach. There is everyone has their board. Everyone has their board, right? But there is an ideal consensus board out there. Like you can get an idea of what the board looks like and who's going to get taken where. Obviously, because you're able to predict the first 7 picks of this draft. If everyone had this idea of I'm picking who I want, it doesn't matter based on consensus or anything like that, then you'd see a lot more funky picks out there in the top 32. There is an idea. There is an ideal spectrum of where players are taken and where they are ranked. So I understand that not everyone is ranked exactly the same as like predictions wise, but there is an idea. There is a spectrum of where a player goes. For example, Nick Bosa, consensus, top 3 pick, right? Consensus. And he was one. It's kind of like Ashton Genty, a consensus top 10 pick. He was a top 10 pick and got picked top 10. It's the same thing with Nick Martin, a consensus 6th round, 5th round type player. So you build a draft board based on that because you're trying to play the consensus board, not necessarily, this imaginary board that doesn't exist. You're trying to get an idea of where this player is taken, and this is where I got taken before someone else does. There is this imaginary board, this consensus board out there that you still have to work with. Because like I said, because then you can just draft CJ West. If you think he's the best D tackle 11, draft him at 11 then. What's stopping you there? If the 49ers thought Jake Moody was the best kicker, it would have been a greatest kicker of all time. I guess it wouldn't have been a reach to take him in the 3rd round. I guess it wasn't a reach to take him. They could have took him in the 1st if they traded up. So there is such thing as a reach because the 49ers and fan base consider Jake Moody a reach. So now are you saying that wasn't a reach, a 3rd round? Because that's what you're saying.
Usually a kicker, dude.
You get him in the 6th or 7th round because that's the consensus.
Kickers usually go way late. And
yeah.
But we saw that the Patriots, I think they got one in the 4th. In the 4th round. They got my man from the U, Borregales.
I think they got him in the 6th.
I think they reached and jumped up in the 4th.
I think they reached and got him too. I thought it was a little too soon myself.
Yeah. But that was their board. That's the value in which they put on a particular
6th round,
player.
182nd pick.
6th round, okay.
182nd pick.
That's a reach to me. You could have waited later or get an undrafted kicker. They kickers hang out at soccer practice, pick them up. But I was okay. Yeah, all right, that's their board. But I can't go back and say, hey, that's a D grade because you didn't stay with the integrity of what we think is optimum at the time in which you pick. This guy's supposed to go in the 4th round and you picked him in the 3rd round, whatever the case.
Like
it's
the kicker thing, they need a kicker, right? That's one of their needs is a kicker. So for me personally, you can look at it as a reach, but they got one of their biggest needs, who's supposed to be the best player available around the consensus kind of time where you take a kicker, which is the 6th or 7th round. That's where you take a kicker in my eyes. So I feel like that's kind of, I feel like they did a good thing. I think that pick, in my eyes, yes, like for a 49ers fan or whatever, that might be a bit of a reach, but I would look at that as more like an A pick. There is better players at that 182nd pick, but I mean, they did get their guy. And the next one was Ravens. I think the Ravens took the next kicker Tyler Loop from Arizona.
Yeah, they took a kicker too.
Won
Yeah.
something, and it's like, okay, maybe they were going to take Andre Borregales, and so it was smart for them to take it. That's what I'm saying. So like, but nobody was going to take Andre Borregales in the 5th round, 4th round, or 3rd round. So like, you have to play this. There is this ideal imaginary board that you have to work with, and there is such thing as a reach in my eyes. But what makes a reach not a reach is what you said, which is need, scheme, things of that nature.
Need, scheme, and fit. Yeah, need, scheme, fit.
And so for them in the 6th round, I don't think it was a reach.
I don't either. But the prevailing when they use the term reach, especially with PFF, they're going by what they see as a reach, but it has to be different for every team sometimes, and especially in the case of the San Francisco 49ers, because while it looked like a reach for you, that was what we really wanted, particularly with the first pick, Mykel Williams out of Georgia. They had him that should have went a little later on. He was projected to go a little bit later on, but for the 49ers here in this house, he was
supposed to go,
and we wanted him bad.
Well, he was supposed to go. He's going in the 1st round regardless. Every draft,
he was going in the 1st round.
He was no matter what. So you had to get your guy that you thought was the best in the 1st round regardless, right? So it's just kind of like, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, and it's just like you got it. What also makes a reach too is that you got your personal reaches, and that's kind of something I want to say real quick. Is that, like, for example, like I'm trying to think of something. So if I think of like Nick Martin, I guess I hate keep using him.
Yeah, you keep going at Nick Martin,
but I think there's better linebackers out there, right? Like way better ones that would have been available that you should have gotten instead. So I personally, on my own personal mock draft board, I think that was a bit of a reach. So it's like there is this personal reach thing, and there's also this imaginary like board that's created a reach. And I personally thought that the Nick Martin things is what makes it a reach. In the end, what makes someone right or wrong, it's kind of like you're putting in your ticket. You're putting in your betting ticket. You're kind of betting on this was a reach. You're betting on this. You should have done this. You're betting on it, and then you wait for the year to go by. And once the year confirms your assessment.
Oh yeah, if he turns out to be super duper all pro, we look like, oh yeah, we got him. He was a steal. We got him in the we get him 4th round or something like that. Let me share this real and I just want to kind of explain how, you know, and it's a wonderful example. And I hate to keep picking on Nick. I hope he turns out to be really great. But just looking at his profile on PFF. You know, injury cut short. Nick Martin's 2024 season, after he earned all Big 12 honors the year prior. The year prior, he was hot to trot. He was the guy you wanted to get, but he got an injury, and look at his overall grade at 67.1. Now, at the time in which we were taking, we still had on the board Jack Kaiser, Notre Dame. 68% of PFF people looked at that. Of all the people that mocked on PFF, he was got a 68% on this guy is a good pick or should have been higher. Nick Martin didn't get, but like I think it's 14% of PFF users like him and thought he was below average. Danny Stutzman. 80% of PFF people thought he was better. He went to New Orleans at 112. Barrett Carter, 64% of PFF thought he was better. He went 119 to Cincinnati. And you got Cody Simon and my personal guy, Teddy Buchanan. 42% of PFF people thought he was a better linebacker, and he went 129 to the Ravens. What we're saying here is just it looks to PFF if that is a reach, because given the time that you took them and who you had available, you could have did a little bit better with that 70 pick. That's all that they were saying in terms of a reach.
I feel like Ty Alston just likes to argue because he's got the PFF's original name was Pro Reach, so he's kind of now he's saying you're looking at PFF just makes you. It's like, okay, there's a difference between like consensus is through statistics and measurement, like and based on what everyone together thinks that that what they're going to do. That's what that means. It's not necessarily, you can't rely on any research. You can't rely on any statistics. You can't rely on anything like that. You just go out and get your guy. If that's the case, like I said, you get CJ West at 11. If you thought he was the best D tackle available, best D tackle in this draft, there is a consensus draft board out there that you have to work with. It's called doing your research. It's called researching each team. What are the things? What are their tendencies? What do they like to do? What don't they like to do? You go out there and you do that kind of research. Like Kyle, for example. The 49ers, for example. You knew there was a high chance the 49ers were not going to draft an offensive lineman. You knew that. Like, as a fan, you knew that. And if other people know that, they go off that. They're like, okay, we're probably not going to take this guy in the second round then. And so they have that for every single team, and they build a consensus board of where a team will reach for a player, where a team will trade back to try to get this player. They have that. They do that. They have a consensus board of what teams do. So to say that is just simple as just go out and get your guy, that's not how that works.
How does PFF grade? They reach. Everybody reaches. And, it's like arguing. I'm not going to howl at the moon. Pardon the pun, because your name's Wolfie. But, Ty is who Ty is. You ain't just going to get him off the slide. Some people just think.
Yes, we did, dude.
We knew. Nothing.
We knew the chance of 49ers drafting an offensive lineman was small because that's their tendency. And then you go based off of that. That is true. You do your own research in that way. If you don't believe in research, you don't believe in statistics, you don't believe in consensus, then I don't know what to tell you, because then you don't believe in anything and you think everything is random. You're telling me that everyth's random.
Don't believe, we just we're howling at the moon. If you just don't believe in it, it ain't nothing anybody do. The only one convince, and convert is Holy Spirit. And if that ain't in you, I can't do it. Nothing I can say that makes it.
Well, because it's weird. If I didn't know anything, if teams didn't know anything, then how did I guess the first 7 picks of the draft? How did I guess the first 7 picks of the draft if I didn't do my research? I did my research, and guess what? I guess the first 7 picks of the draft. That's what happens when you get consensus. That's what happens when you do your research. You think of things based on teams' tendencies and stuff like that. That's how you know who's going to be a top 10 pick. That's how you know someone's going to be a top 32 pick. It's because you do your research on these players based on how good they are and based upon where they rank among the rest of the players, and you develop that ranking. So for you to say that it's all random, for you to say that it's just, then I would not guess the first 7 picks. I would not be able to know who's top 5. You would not be able to do those things without having consensus, without doing your research on players. So it's just interesting that to say everything's random, and yet somehow I guess the first 7 picks is absolutely wild. It's I'm a miracle worker. I am a miracle worker. I'm sent from God to guess all the top 7 picks of the draft. I'm a miracle worker. Call me the NFL draft Jesus, okay? Because I somehow guessed the first 7 picks because research doesn't matter.
That guy just got lucky.
Exactly.
You're lucky, Wolfie. It's at random. Crazy Juice is laughing, and don't let Ty get you, man. Ty he just here to be the fly in the ointment, the monkey in the wrench. George Kittle signed. That was another biggie. I had breaking news on the great George Kittle, man. How does it feel that he probably will retire a San Francisco 49er? Were you happy about it? Were you ecstatic? Were you relieved that we finally got some things done early in the season? What did you think?
I am ecstatic. I'm actually super happy. I actually kind of thought that this would drag in more into July or August, something of that nature. But it's kind of cool that they got this out of the way like right after the draft. I mean, it was a good sign that George Kittle showed up on Friday, like not even for practice or anything. He kind of just showed up on a Friday, which is kind of weird because it was like at night they showed up there. So I'm a big fan of what George Kittle get that deal done. I like the deal they got. I mean, I'm a big fan of it. I mean, technically the 49ers can't get out of it without this. I've heard through David Lombardi, they can get out with it like his third year, fourth year. Like there's some options there where it won't hinder the 49ers too much if they were to try to get out of that contract, which is good because he's older guy. You kind of want to have that option. You want to be able to, because you never know that drop off. That drop off is coming. You're a player. It's like father time. It's going to happen whether you like it or not.
By the time undefeated. Yeah. So
it's really more of like a fully guaranteed 2-year deal if you want to look at it that way. And that's something that I'm excited about. So 32, 33 years old for this kind of type of tight end. And a lot of people were saying like, oh, you paid way too much for this guy. And it's like, dude, he's technically 2 tight ends in one. Right, you got 2 tight ends in one. You got one of the best blockers, which you pay for, and you got a very good pass catching tight end as well. So you paid for 2 tight ends in one for $19.1 million. He does more than what wide receivers do, and you got him for less money than that. Not to mention, you also pay for the leadership that he brings to this team. Yeah. He's a true leader. He is the bona fide, the nucleus of the entire team. So for fans to be upset about like us signing him or people hating on him, it's actually crazy to me because they don't understand just how important George Kittle is to this team. He's like, if you really think about it, it's like I keep using it as a reference. Like it's like trading Luka Doncic, man. A lot of people are just going to be upset. They're going to be up in arms if you got rid of them because that's what you would have to done to move on for George Kittle is to trade him, and that's what you would have to do. And it's not worth it. He's worth the 2 years, $19.1 million guaranteed for the next 2 years for this guy. Even if he has a little bit of a drop off on his pass catching ability, you're paying for him to be your 6th offensive lineman, which McKivitz desperately needs. And when Trent Williams gets hurt, because you can count on Trent Williams because that dude's going to get hurt. Okay, he's going to be out 2 or 3 games. DJ Humphrey's going to play left tackle. You're going to need that 6th offensive lineman on that left side to help out that left tackle DJ Humphreys. So you're paying for a lot more than you think than just your typical tight end. He's not Mark Andrews. He's not these other weird tight ends like Trey McBride where they do one great thing. He's not TJ Hawkinson or anything like that. George Kittle is a very unique tight end that does multiple things, more than just the 2 things I mentioned, which is blocking and catching. He's a leader on this team. And those things those are very hard. Those things don't grow on trees. Players like that don't grow on trees. Some players are very selfish. Some players are very quiet. Some players, lead by example more so of like catching balls, being really good at the team at their game. He does it all. He's a leader through all of it. There is nobody he doesn't talk to. There is nobody he doesn't poke at. He goes to everybody, has conversations with everyone, and he's just. It's kind of like he's the Joe Staley of this time.
Yeah,
right? He's the Joe Staley of our situation, and it's so worth paying this kind of type of money. I absolutely thought he was worth it. And last thing I'll leave us with is that I just don't think that it like the complaints of him being paid this, considering what all the things that he does, I don't think it's fair for other people to compare other tight ends to this guy. He's not like other tight ends.
He's a great tight end. For us, and I seen Ty say, "Hey, that was a reach too," but I get it, Ty. He's basically Superman for us, man. If it wasn't for George Kittle, do you know how bad our protection would be sometimes? And the productivity this man gives once he catches the ball. He is, and he's going to catch it. Very, very few drops that I can remember from George Kittle. And when he does, it turns into magic. I still remember that one in New Orleans. That thing sparked the whole season when he made that catch, and it was a 3rd or a 4th down.
It was 4th down.
It was a fourth
We
down.
had to get it, or we were
A
lost.
little L. That would have been it. And George Kittle comes out there, man, and not only catches it, turns it upfield, drags people. It was dudes hanging off his face mask. It was
trying to bring him down. You guys still got 5 or 10 yards, yeah.
That is just going to be indelible to me. So kudos to the San Francisco 49er organization, as well as George Kittle. And the man really loves his wife. They are just when they did that receiver, I don't know if you checked it out on Netflix, man. The commitment they have to one another. And let me point out too, George Kittle's dad, his whole family is incredible, but his dad is an offensive line coach. That was a high school coach, I believe. And man, he just really embodies what you want as a football player. As he just something incredible. If y'all have time, man, go back to that Netflix and see receiver and see how his family, his grandma came to the game, and I think she turned 103. She was the star of the Kittle family. Grandma was, and he's a great guy, and that's who you want here for the San Francisco 49ers repping team. If you got money, put it on George Kittle. My man Dion in the house. Dion hollering at you, man. He brings up a valid point. We didn't get the offensive line. You know how Kyle does. We did pick up a 7th round pick in the offensive line. What's my guy name? Connor Kobe or Kobe Connor. Yeah, a guard out of where's Connor out of? It don't say on my thing here. I got
Iowa State.
Iowa. Yeah, he's an Iowa guy. He's going to be serviceable, but I wanted to transition here to we signed DJ Humphries, an offensive tackle, free agent, to a 1-year prove-it deal with the San Francisco 49ers. DJ Humphries, he was in Kansas City for 1 year. I think he got a little injured. He's coming off of an injury where he was previous with the Phoenix Cardinals, or is it Arizona Cardinals? One of the two, Arizona Cardinals, I should say. And he made a Pro Bowl in 2021. Doing my research on it, but it was, it's been a while from 2021, and he's had some injuries, and I don't know. What did you think of this signing with DJ Humphries?
It's whatever to me, to be honest with you. Like, he's just he's a mid blocker and not a very good pass blocker. And I mean, he is older. He is 31 years old. Sometimes tackles can, last long, such as Trent Williams, but Trent Williams is like a once in a lifetime kind of type left tackle. He's generational. Yeah. So it kind of makes sense for him to have a bit of a downfall. Cause there was a time that he was a good guy. He was a good player and stuff. Like, he'll be a good, when you want him to come in for like running downs and stuff, I think that'd be like a good option for him. But I don't know. I'm not absolutely sold on this type of player. He's going to be our swing tackle. And the 49ers didn't draft a swing tackle, and the 49ers did say that they needed a swing tackle before the draft. So it kind of plays into what you said about how they wanted Charles Grant at the 99th pick or 98th pick, or whatever. It kind of plays into that, and they weren't able to get one. So I think they went out and they were like, okay, let's take up the next best thing that's available. And really the only thing that was available at that position for swing tackle was DJ Humphries. So I do think this guy makes the roster, unless some miracle happens that a guy who's playing guard suddenly, like Pleasance, plays better than him. Pleasance. That would be an interesting option. Yeah. Some of these other guys that we picked up that are backup tackles, like McKenzie and stuff like that, some weird players like that, I mean, probably could do better than him. But, I mean, as of right now, our swing tackle is DJ Humphries. So at least they filled in a role with a player that they filled in something that needed to be filled. While Pleasance is kind of a question mark, he did play really well last year when they asked him to. I was really happy about that. I do like his upside, his potential, but like that's the question marks. I don't like the question marks around a player. While DJ Humphries, you kind of know what you're getting, and you're like, okay, at least it's the best available swing tackle. It's kind of like in the guard position for the 49ers, where you like Ben Barch. You like what he did with that in that one game and his potential to be a starting guard because he does have that potential. But the question marks, can he stay healthy? Can he do that consistently? Those are too big where you need to draft a guard. You need to draft a guard. Same thing with like center. And they're not going to do that. But like there's question marks there. Can Hennessy beat out Brendel? Can Drake Nugent beat out Brendel? Can Zakel do that? You know, it's just that thing where it's like they should have drafted a swing tackle, but obviously probably Charles Grant was their guy and they missed out on him. And I think that it's kind of like I want to give him credit for addressing the need of a swing tackle because they needed one, but it's also kind of like it's not a very good one. So it's kind of I'm very like back and forth with that type of
you kind of throwing a body at it. Let's just throw a body at it. Let's just throw a little something at it. You know, it's like when gas was only 89 cents. You throw $5 at the girl, say, "Hey, girl, $5 on on."
Well,
and
Chris Forster might work his miracles, man. Might work his miracles. I know we're not Chris Forster fans here, but it's possible with this scheme that he might fit with this scheme a lot better. And so he might end up being better than he was with the Kansas City Chiefs. That's definitely possible. I mean, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and the rest of that team are familiar with DJ Humphries, considering he played for the Cardinals. So they're familiar. Yeah. They're familiar with this game. So maybe they can get more out of him than the Kansas City Chiefs could. But I can't imagine it's much more. Like that much more. Like he might turn out to be above average run blocker and like an okay pass blocker in the end. That's probably like the ceiling I give him right now. And that's probably something you do need from a swing tackle. So,
and looking at the depth chart right now, you got Trent Williams as their starter. They actually have Ben Barch, and this is from our lads, who does a remarkable job of it fits the eye when you go and look at it. But this isn't etched in stone. This isn't officially what the 49ers have out there, but it's pretty close. You got Brendel in the middle, still Dominic Pooney, who's coming off a really good freshman year or rookie year, I should say, with Connor Colby backing him up. Also McKivitz on the right tackle and Spencer Burford backing him up, which it's, as long as we get a healthy, ready to go Trent Williams, it's not horrible. But for the San Francisco 49er faithful and the fans like myself, I'm looking for dominance on the offensive line. And, I think I can just give up on this dream that Kyle just doesn't want the most dominant offensive line in football. And
I would say also
temper my expectations.
Kyle and John and Forrester, I think they're a team there that I think it's like to them where they just have this idea that patchwork offensive line is fine. Like that, I think it's all three of them, like they're just coming together and saying, hey, Brendel's fine, take my word for it. I'm Chris Forrester. Kyle's like, oh, yeah, I found Kyle's like, I found Ben Barch, so he's good, and so it's left guard. So it's Chris Forrester there and stuff like that. And then, John Lynch saying to Robert Saleh, hey, we're going to get your guys on defense, and that's where we're focused on more there. And that's kind of why we have this offensive line that we do. So I just – like McKivitz, played better against Pooney, but it's like okay-ish. Brendel is literally just a giant gaping cone. It's just like I every time I think about this offensive line, I think about flooding. And then just the center, the middle of the line, just having a hole and the flood just coming through it. That's the image that's in my head when I think about this offensive line. And
when the floods happen, it's like a drain right in the middle of the shower. That's
it's
the flood.
I just think that if I'm a defensive coordinator against this team, I'm like, there's this giant gaping hole in the middle that I could just take advantage of. I'll just do stunts against it. Whatever I have to do, if they try to cover up for him, I'll find a way to make sure my best D lineman attacks Brendel, because that's what I would do. I trust Trent Williams next to whoever guy like Ben Barch, whoever it may be. I trust that more because Trent Williams can make that player better, kind of like how Pooney makes McKivitz better. but nobody is making Brendel better on that line. And so it's kind of like you have a gaping hole there. And I know we keep saying this. I know it's just like I don't understand, and we're gonna keep saying this for a long time until he's off this team. I don't understand the Brendel love, and apparently there's someone in this chat that's a Brendel defender, which is shocking to me. But I guess there's someone. I guess if there's one out there on this team, it's gonna be one out there.
Who's defending Brendel?
Crazy says. I think Crazy Juice said.
Crazy Juice.
Brendel, #1 fanboy. I think that's what he said. Crazy Juice. Could be somebody else, or was it Cleo? I think it's Cleo.
And I think he might be saying that tongue in cheek, but I just want to.
I hope so.
I want to know. I really want to talk to some people who really like Brendel and think he's great. Tell me what you see. Educate me. Educate me. I really want to know
understand
why he's that dude.
About it. Like I don't want to be frustrated about this. I don't want to be frustrated about the center. I don't want to take this center thing so personal. I really don't. But it's just like I genuinely like. There's players like I see why they did. There are certain things you can look at and be like, okay, I don't agree with it, but I understand. Like I don't agree with like not getting a guard is crazy, right? But you have Ben Barch. I see what they mean. There's potential there. I get that understanding. Right. If he can stay healthy, I think Ben Barch, because he felt in maybe for a game or two,
and then he got injury. Yeah, but
he played good.
I worry about that.
The linebacker thing of Nick Martin, totally thought it was a reach. Didn't like it, but hey, I see why they did it. He looks like a good player, someone that can actually fill in that Greenlaw role. So I get it. There's things I can convince myself to understand. But the one thing on this, like even the safety thing, like I understand, like to not go out, like make it a personal thing, because Jair Brown had one bad year, but he did have an excellent year with Steve Wilkes. So now give him Robert Saleh, he's probably going to have another great year. So it's kind of like there's things I can convince myself to understand on this team. But the one thing I don't get is the Brendel one, where there is no good reason or anything to get behind, nothing to stand on to say, hey, this guy is someone that needs to play center and be our guy. He's gotten worse. He's gotten older. He's not going to get any better. There is no reason for this dude to be on our team. I'd much rather cut him now and try to go with Zakel, Hennessy, and Nugent, just so I can feel better about this team. So there's a lot more. That's my only issue on this team is literally the center. It's the one thing that's been driving me off the wall crazy.
And Callie Young, man, that's my dude. He likes Forrester, and I have my reservations. I'm hoping I'm hoping he can turn anything. He said chicken Shiite Muslim into chicken salad, and if he can, great. But I haven't seen him do it with Brendel, man. And as you alluded to, you have your floors and you have your ceilings. I think Brendel's ceiling may very well be the floor. If I could be, so entranced in the analogy, so to speak. My last topic du jour. Well, did you have anything? It's about 1 hour. I know you got to get out of here. I got to get out of here too. We got some people coming in the chat. My man Rod Cali showed up. Rod Cali building. Bebop Jones showed up. Thank you so much for tuning in with Wolfie and the Terror Dome on a Thursday. I saw my man Dion. Shout out to Dion, man. Dion, I ain't seen my man Dion in a minute. I know he working. The only good thing about Brendel is he went to UCLA. He's a big UCLA guy, man, and he's dope. I guess we'll just stay tuned. Any big events happening in the next over the weekend.
Brock Purdy signing. Fingers crossed.
I hope so. I really do. I hope we put this to bed quick, fast, in a hurry, man. I I just really want to get that done so we can really move on. There's going to be just incredible reaction. Everybody's going to say he ain't worth it. I wouldn't have did it. It ain't my money. You're going to have 1,000 people saying 1,000 different things, and most of them negative. What did you think about the Maple Missile being selected in the 7th round? The Canadian, his name is Curtis Rourke, out of I think what school? Indiana, maybe.
Indiana. Yeah,
he's a Canadian dude. Played the year with a torn ACL.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Which goes to his toughness there. But are you excited about him a little bit, or what did you think?
I personally, when I first, because you were there when it first happened, I absolutely hated the pick. I was like, I know it's 7th round, but my lord, give us an offensive lineman. I guess I know they did it later. I get that, but it's kind of like, get another one. So I was kind of thinking, like, just to get another one, try to see if you can find a gem in there somewhere in that 7th round area. Maybe you can find one. But I went back. I was like, okay, what makes this guy good? What's so good about him? Toughness. Okay, this guy does. I like his accuracy. I like his arm. I like his ability to. This guy looks genuinely good. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be Brock Purdy. He's going to steal someone's job and things like that. This actually is a legit. Okay, this is a good 7th round pick actually, because he looks like an absolute stud in my eyes. And him playing on the ACL regardless, and still being accurate and still being mobile at that. He had a little band thing around his leg.
Yeah, he had a big brace on. He's still getting it.
And he's still moving around. It's like, that's crazy to me, dude. Because at any moment, someone could just tackle him, and that would be severely worse, end his career. And he still went out there and said, hey, I'm going to play football and throw me some touchdowns. And that's exactly what he did. Yeah. This guy is actually genuinely a good player. I love his heart. So my original F grade that I have for that pick became a B. Like a B.
Wow. That's a swing there. You came all the way to a B. There.
Because it's like,
I went to C.
Because he'd like so it went from like a B to like a C plus in that general area. Just because I understand that you have Mac Jones. I understand that you have Tanner Mordecai. But this guy, I don't know. So I'm assuming you haven't watched film on him yet. But
I watched the clips when they were drafting him. I just seen him throwing it around there. And then I looked at his stats at 69%, which is very, very productive.
Which is nice.
The touchdown. It's pretty nice. He goes downfield. He's a big, tall guy. Kyle's excited about him. And I heard Larry Krueger talking about him too. But I didn't do my in-depth analysis on him because I wasn't even thinking we were going to get a quarterback. But
yeah, I'd say I was like, we have 3 quarterbacks already. Just get an undrafted guy if you want to, whatever. But he actually looks genuinely like a future backup talent. Okay. And so it's like, okay, I see why they did that. Just in case Tanner Mordecai doesn't mold anything, they have their third. They can get rid of him and just move on with Curtis Rourke, which I'm like, okay, that's going to be like potentially be your third, type quarterback, which we need because, with this poor offensive line, you never know who's going to get freaking hurt. That's their quarterback. So having that guy that you could potentially as that talent, I understand it in 7th round.
Yeah.
I kind of get it, but I would much rather use like the 252nd pick on a guy like that. Or see if he fell undrafted for something like that. That's why it's not an A for me or like a B plus or anything like that. It's still a bit of a reach and still a bit of like an unnecessary pick at the time. And so I say like, but the talent, I see a backup talent in this guy. And if you got that in the 7th round, I say that's a good pick. I say it's a good pick.
Yeah.
So I like it. I like it. He's 6'5".
Big dude. Big kid, huge kid. Pause.
I would say the one that I'm excited the most to see though in the later rounds picks wise for this draft is that kick returner we got. That kick punt returner, the last pick we got in the draft.
Yes, Junior Bergen. I love that name, Junior, man. I played with a kid named Junior Birch. Junior Birch was real cool, man. And ironically, he punt returned and he was a receiver. Yeah, let me get a little something on here. I was going to go into our undrafted signings, but
Junior is good. he broke a lot of records. I think it's like 8 punt return touchdowns, something like that. He's got
Yes,
a lot of
yes,
records. He's a
record,
really good
yeah.
player.
And we
So-
need that so desperately on our special teams. I
I'm
can't
shocked that
remember.
wasn't our pick instead of the quarterback. To be
I don't
honest.
remember a run back since maybe Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn was a threat back
Dang,
in the
that's
day.
classic.
And I was hoping that Ray McLeod would be that, but Ray would get out there. I think Ray had one good run back one time. I don't think he scored, but
I don't think he scored.
and
I
y'all,
talking about,
yeah, y'all can
He's
correct
all
me
right.
if I'm wrong, but you know,
He was
he's
decent.
aight. He was aight. But yeah, Junior, man, if Junior could get in here and do some serious punt returning and kick returning, and we have a legit threat. I've been wanting that legit threat since 2021, 2020. That would take care of a lot of that would, solve a lot of our ilks. I wanted to just touch on our undrafted free agents real quick. We got linebacker Stone Blanton from Mississippi State, 6'2", 230 pounds. In 2024, he recorded 125 tackles. Wide receiver Isaiah Nayer out of Nebraska, 6'3", 210 pounds. That sounds real good. He led the team with 5 receiving touchdowns and had 455 receiving yards. Played in 12 games with 9 starts. Defensive back Jacob Robinson, BYU, 5'10", 165 pounds. So he's a little very smallish. Very smallish for football.
Yeah.
But he hauled in 11 interceptions over his career. So get on out there and get skinny, buddy. Defensive lineman Sebastian Valdez from Washington, 6'4", 304 pounds. In 2024, he recorded 48 tackles, 2 sacks, and a pass. Offensive lineman, there you go. Offensive lineman, big boy, Drew Moss, 6'4", 300 pounds, out of Colorado. Started all 13 games at guard. He's a guard. And we got Corey Kiner, which is a great name. It's got the alliterative ring to it, 2 consonants hitting or whatever, from Cincinnati. 5'10", 213 pounds. He is a running back. Kind of rushed for 1,153 yards and 4 touchdowns on 204 carries. That's a lot, man. What's that average? That's a good average there. 204 carries, 1,100. I got to do the math on that one. That's at least 5.8 a carry, somewhere around there. While also recording 16 receptions for 111 yards. You can do a little bit better on that. Now, here's the deal with that, Wolfie. Chances are that Corey Kiner will be better than Jones, who we drafted in Jordan James. You know why? Because the guy that we draft never works, but the undrafted free agent is gonna come in here and be like, "Whoa, this guy can play." Case in point, who's that? Jordan Mason, another Jordan, And ironically, we got a pair of Jordans in this draft too. So so much for them giving us a D. But anytime you can get a pair of Jordans, that is awesome.
But I do think I agree with that. I think the Corey Kiner thing is probably end up being better than Jordan James for sure. Just because it's kind of like their witchcraft ritual. It's where it's like, hey, we know Jordan James is not going to be good, but this is what we have to do because this is the witchcraft. This is the spell. This is how it works. This is the only way it works.
It's a potion.
So what we gotta do.
We'll go an undrafted guy who we know is going to be better. Bring him in, and they're gonna be like, "These guys are geniuses. Why did you draft him?"
That's one thing. Like, just draft that guy.
Just draft
Jesus Christ. I would say that. I would say my least favorite pick of this draft, 110% bar none, is that Jordan James pick. Like, that pick still pisses me off to this day.
You ain't feeling it.
I can't get behind it, man. A lot like Strawberry, I think, and Juan and a couple of people trying to convince me, man, it's not as bad as you think it is. but it's just there was so much better running backs on the board, dude. If you were going to do that, in my eyes, there was Elijah Roberts. We lost Roger Roberts because he decided to get Jordan James instead of him. It's just there's so much that comes with it where it's like this Jordan James guy better be better than good. Like he's got to be better than good. I already know he's going to be good. That's my prediction for him. But I also thought DJ Giddens had potential to be great behind this on this offense. Like there's so many other running backs.
I thought Ty Davis Price would flourish. I thought Trey Sermon was going to be good too, and we just snake bitten when it comes to drafting running backs, man. Isaac Guerrero is pretty cool, but he's not an instinctive running back. What I mean by that, he just got a good running back. Just has twitch and he has vision and he can see. His peripherals. He almost can see behind him. He's got rear view mirror, and he can stop his feet, shuffle, move, jump cut, go to the hole where it's needed, and then spring for 15, 20 yards. And I think Jones has shown that a little bit, and I'm hoping it will flourish and be better with our system as well as our offensive line. Who's got to step up and show their run block abilities. Yep.
So that pick really, really stumps me so hard. And I could be wrong. It could be out trying to be great or whatever, but if it doesn't work out, I'm going to seriously, that's going to be my the thing I'm going to hold against the 49ers probably for like the rest of my life. I'm going to be like 60 years old. I'm going to be 70 years old and be like, I remember when they drafted Jordan James over DJ Giddens.
One of the greatest runners ever in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like that, dude, for like the rest of my life. So, so that's my least favorite pick. What was your least favorite pick in this draft? Player could still be good, but it's like, was your like at the time, whatever it may be, whatever your reason
Nick
is.
Martin. Because I just saw so many other linebackers. I ran them off a little bit before. You had Barrett Carter, who was Barrett. What's his name? Barrett Carter.
Carter Barrett. Yeah. You had it. I think it was flipped. Yeah.
Yeah. He had him out there as well as my crush was Demetrius Knight, but he had already gone. But you had I thought they would probably go with Kaiser or Barrett I wanted Teddy
Buchanan.
But the Baltimore Ravens taking my ball players. That's why you can't let Levi in. And it disappointed me when the Eagles jumped up and reached and took Makuba. It just hurt me so bad. But I understand Eagles. Eagles know what they were talking about. I think Spongy told y'all, but they saw a good ball player and they said, nope, we ain't playing around. He ain't gonna be here in the third round. We're going to get it right now.
He was the best available safety at that time, and they needed a safety. So I thought that was the best pick for them at that spot. I totally and it just hurts the fact that he went to a team that I'm not saying like
we're gonna face.
We're gonna end up probably facing them. We're trying to compete with them for the NFC, things of that nature. It's not like he went to the Giants or like if he went to the Giants, I would have fine with that. If he went to the Jets, I would have fine with that. But he went to a team that didn't want him to go to.
Somebody we always, who they ain't got to worry about them. You ain't gonna see.
I don't worry about him going there at all. Like, can't scabble go to the Giants. Okay, I don't worry about that. That's fine. Enjoy your time, man. And have a good time.
That'd be great. Like New York, dude. Take it in. Hey, see a show, see a Broadway show. You ain't got to worry about nothing for a while.
So, the Makuba pick, I would say that one probably was the one that hurt the most out of teams drafting players. Not Walter Nolan going to the Cardinals, not Will Johnson going to the Cardinals. It was honestly the Makuba one going to the Eagles actually hurt. Like that actually physically made me hurt.
It hit both of us. I
felt a little bit drained from me. I was like, no.
I look like Napoleon. I ran it back. We looked like Napoleon Dynamite.
So I totally understand. That's like my least favorite pick to make my team. But Strawberry said my least favorite pick was a QB who has a torn ACL and can't compete for a roster spot. Complete waste. I disagree with that because if his ACL is actually still needs recovery, you could put him on IR for the entire year. So he would sit for the entire year, and it would not waste the roster spot, and he would still be on your team.
Wow.
So technically,
yeah.
so
Somebody
technically
did that last year. Who did
yeah, well, Mitchell. Mitchell got hurt, and he was out for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Put him on season-ending IR.
Red shirt year. Yeah,
before the season started. You could do and just redshirt him. Also, he played on that torn ACL. So is he really not going to compete? Maybe. And also, he tore the ACL like earlier in the year, so it could have healed by the time season starts. So I wouldn't say it was a complete waste of pick, and I wouldn't say he wouldn't compete at all. So I wouldn't say that.
Say even. Yeah, but he can't
he played on the ACL, so
why waste the draft pick?
But if he played on it, so what makes you think he wouldn't compete for the job? If he played on the ACL, what makes you think he's not going to play on? Like he's not going to compete? Yeah, I mean, he's going to go and practice.
I want to see him out there, man. Get out there, show what you got, and if you can, you would be great. I might rather sign him as an undrafted free agent.
I would too. I mean, I wouldn't mind that either. That's what I'm saying. I thought that I would mind getting him there, but maybe he wasn't going to be there. I don't know. But I like the idea of the pick because he does look good. I'm all for it. So I don't think Strawberry's here when we talked about the quarterback.
And the Maple Missile. That's what his nickname is. The Maple Missile. He's Canadian too, so you never know, man. The way things are, you might get deported, or it's going to become the 51st state.
That's a whole other conversation for sure. Yeah. So I like the pick. I don't hate it. It was an F for me at the time, but I'm all for it. I like the idea of Curtis Rourke and what he could possibly bring to this team as a good backup. So I'm not against that. My overall grade for the draft after a few days was a B plus. Lowest I'll give is a B.
I was at B too, a good B, which was really, really hard in my era. I told you on your show when I was in school, an 80 was a D, because they had a D grade for us at PFF, and I remember, man, it was some hard times. You had to struggle to get a C. I graduated with a C average, but for the rest of the world, that was a B.
That's when you told me that, I was like, what? That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
dude. That's a lot of anxiety. I would not be able to handle that.
Yeah, man. It was hard living. 100 to a 95 was an A. 94 to an 88 was a B. 87 to 81 a C. 80 to 75 was a D. 74 and below was an F. And this affected a lot of colleges even messing with you because, oh man, the guy's, he's borderline, he's a D student. Oh my God, he can't play, But I'm like,
it's not like that.
It's an 80. They didn't go by your grades. They went by what that grade point average was, and that really messed us up. I think they scrapped that nowadays. And when I went to college, man, I was on the dean's list one time. So it just goes to show you, stop having such hard standards, man. And it brings up hard memories. I'm sorry, but I digress.
That is tough. That's rough.
Yeah,
that's like
really
unfair, like on a lot of levels. Dude.
Yeah,
everyone else kind of gets their freedom a little bit with their grades. That's crazy, dude. They kind of that's insane to me, dude. That is so beyond strict. I would absolutely hate that. Transfer states. I go.
Yeah, I should. Looking back at it, if I would have went to another county or another city school, you'd have been fine. You're a B plus average guy. You good with a 2.4, but
so what you would say is PFF gave us like an F minus.
If you graded on PFF standards, if they took that today and gave us a D, you was like, dang, y'all just ain't. You shouldn't even show it up for the draft.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what they told the 49ers, and I think it's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Last thing, real quick though, the player we haven't talked about. There's just two players we haven't talked about yet, which is the safety, Marquise Sigel.
Yes,
I like him. I think that was, especially with Mustafa injury
yeah,
that
that
came
very
out,
much played into it.
that
Yeah,
that pick became a B to an A immediately. Like,
yeah,
like
yeah,
once the injury came out, you're like, okay,
yeah.
I see
Once
why
they
they
hear
did
you,
that.
oh, we really needed that one.
Yeah.
That was a big need.
All right, all right, all right.
Yeah. That was you
So
are. Let me show everybody what that meant. See that big red on Mustafa there? That means he's got a torn ACL and he's going to be out. So immediately you get Sigel, who it says is behind Pinnock, who we drafted from the who we or signed free agent from the New York Giants, but very much so Sigel and Pinnock can really fight it out to become the starter. So Sigel, which you thought was a reach, is now a fifth round. You might be in there, buddy. Show and prove,
yeah,
and you're going to be starting day one for the San Francisco 49ers
I'm
because
pretty sure.
Mustafa, I don't think Mustafa will be ready. If he tore it at the end of the year, they take a year for you to be ready.
About 9 months to a year. Yeah.
ACL, it takes a year to come back off of that. I saw Jury do it in like a season. But he broke his kneecap in the game he came back with. It was I was in the Army. It's 1998, I think. Yeah, it was 98. He tore his ACL. Uh who was it? It was Warren Sapp tackled him and face masked him, and his leg planted, and that was like the first game of the year. Jerry, who is a machine, made it his mission to come back that year, and he came back on Joe Montana night in December. So I've seen somebody heal up and do it like that. We know stories of Adrian Peterson coming back and being better on a torn ACL than he was before. But usually, and I'm just rolling the dice here and giving you the the skinny from what I've seen. It takes a year for a guy to feel good, comfortable, trusted, back to feeling good and playing good. It does from an ACL.
What favors him in this aspect, though, is that he's young. And so with him being young, I feel like he could have potential. Apparently, Mustafa is aiming for a week 1 return, which, of course, I mean, you want to be optimistic. You want to be like, okay, yeah, great, you're doing what you can. But it's kind of like at the same time, we'll see. Like, I'm not going to hold you to it. Like, I'm not going to be like, you told us week 1, man. But
a bit audacious, but
yeah, I'm going with doctors on this one first before
aim high.
Yeah, aim high. Exactly. Do what you got to do. Let be optimistic. That helps you heal, be more positive, be more like, okay, it doesn't make you second guess your knee or whatever. So that's good. It's a good thing to be like that. But I'm going to be like, okay, that's going to have that. But let's also focus on the science here too, as well as like 9 months to a year. That's about that. That's what I get it.
It takes a baby. Yeah, it takes about a baby.
But Marquise Sigel, though, I do like his potential. I think they might have gotten an actual free safety steal. This guy looks really good.
I look at him, and he makes plays back there, and he's got 4.3 speed, which the 40 isn't the end all be all, but boy, it kind of gives you your stamp. It kind of solidifies you and gives you that approval. 4.3 speed, and anything under, to tell you the truth, Wolf, you're running it in your Under Armour there, under draws or whatever, and these guys run these phenomenal times sometimes. But if a man runs 4 or 5, he's moving pretty fast. He's moving fast. 4 or 5 is decent, really decent. And anything under that, these guys are blazing. You get into 4.4, 4.3, that is really quick. Just 4 Mississippis you have to count, and this guy has gone 40 yards. It's pretty insane to think about it.
Yeah, that's the thing about Marquise is like that. Not only is he's got the underwear, athletic, award for how fast he is, for being the fastest safety in this draft. He also plays with that speed on the field, so it also translates as well.
Translates
when I want to say a discount Makuba in a lot of ways, where he can play free safety, he can play in the box and stuff like that. I'm genuinely excited about this player just
man.
because he might be I mean, this is bold. This is bold, but he might be a day one starter at free safety. Like
He he probably will. I think
he's
he's
got
faster
that.
than Pennick. I don't really remember Pennick that
I think he ran
great for
a 4.49. I think it's like
the
that. Richie
Giants.
Grant like a 4.5 something.
And this kid is 5'11", 199 pounds at Kansas State. He had some a lot of productivity at Kansas State. So, hey man, yeah, and can
Got a
guard
gem.
slots. You might done mess around and got you a George Kittle in the 5th round.
Yeah, and usually 49ers tend to do that. And when you watch this guy play, man, there is something. There's some safeties I watch where you're like, okay, I see why
Man,
people like him. This guy though, you're kind of like, it's kind of like what was the player that we had that were like Elijah Roberts. You're like, how is he not further? Why he's not higher in the draft?
Yeah.
Safeties, key sigil guys, like, why wasn't he rated higher? He looks so good.
Why don't they have him higher?
Yeah, that's how I feel about this guy, and I think they may have found a gem, which is something that 49ers fans have been dying for. Was that starting free safety?
Oh yes, we need a free
sideline guy.
We getting box safeties who are great, but you have to think of it in terms of there was a kid from what's his name, Jamal Adams or Jamal Abrams, who used to play at the New York Giants, and then he went to the Seattle Seahawks.
New York Jets, and it was Adams, yeah.
Adams. Okay.
Jamal Adams.
That is a box safety. He's a small linebacker. He's always in the box. If you ask him to cover anybody, that dude was getting cooked. And I think anytime we needed it, we go right after Adams. That's the difference in a box safety and a free safety. You mess around with a real free safety, you're gonna get that ball picked. And he might go to the other side of the house. He's gone. He's gonna bump his head on the daggone goalpost.
Do you remember when Brock actually burned Jamal Adams when he was apparently Jamal Adams played free safety? He was out at the top of Debo, did like a stunt work, and apparently Brock said, "I saw him flat-footed, and I knew the route, and I knew Debo was gonna do it." So you would go back and watch that. Debo threw it before. Sorry, Brock threw it before he actually got past Jamal Adams.
Yes.
He just saw his feet and saw he was flat-footed, and he knew, okay,
let it go.
This is a W.
Let it go. Yeah, we got him. So, and that's why you don't want a box back there. You want a true free safety up on his toes, wide is the widest, deep is the deepest, and his first step is back. That's what our Coach Jarvis used to say all the time. He said, free safety, do not get burnt. Don't worry about the run. You're the last guy on the run. Your first step is back. Don't get cooked out here. I'll take you out of here, and your parents will be mad in the stands.
Yeah.
We said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
110%. One last thing, I guess, before we dip. 49ers posted a video of those in the building for phase 1 working out. Bosa was there. Talk about this offseason being different. Right. Strawberry said that. And I agree. I think this offseason, I've said it before in my previous live, and I'll keep saying it probably this entire offseason. This has probably felt this offseason has never felt better. I've never felt in the Kyle Shanahan era, I don't think I've ever felt more excited, more relieved, less stressed. There's still things I'm worried about, like the Brock Purdy contract, when is that get done, Fred Warner extension. There's things like that, but compared this season worries to everything else, this one has just felt so transitional. It just felt so easy. It felt like every time someone would complain about something, it gets addressed or it gets fixed, or like, oh, is Nick Sorensen going to be our DC? Fired, hired Robert Saleh.
There it is. Yeah.
Is Brian Schneider going to be our special teams coordinator? Fired. Hired Brant Boyer, the best available special teams coordinator. And it just can't. It just snowballed into that where it's kind of like, okay, you don't have to worry for long. They're getting these things done. Where I'm not trying to give my hopes up, but my prediction based on how things are going, I feel like we're going to get the Fred Warner extension done and the Kittle extension. Oh, not Kittle, but Brock extension done by mandatory minicamp, just based on.
That would be awesome.
The vibes here, and once those two things happen, man, we're good. There's nothing else to worry about,
and got a good schedule. The schedule that's up, we finished, in the basement of the NFC West, so we're gonna play the basement teams all over the NFL. So yeah, it's favorable. I can't agree with you even more. It does. If these last tumblers click, we got some optimism here. We got some
training camp's gonna be phenomenal. Training camp's gonna feel great. Mandatory middle camp would feel great. Preseason would feel great. No holdouts, no worries, no you imagine how the players would feel where okay, we can just go out there and ball now. I don't have to worry about this guy not being there.
All in front of you. Yeah.
I could be more excited about this season.
Me too.
So.
And on that note, Wolfie, we're going to call it a day. I have enjoyed it. Wolfie, I enjoyed all the Golden Domers and the Wolf Pack that joined us for this hour and 35. We are getting so good. Hour and 35 minutes of football.
We cut it in half. We actually cut it in half, which is crazy.
Because me and Wolfie's like, all right, man, we can't do 3 hours today. We can't do 4 hours. Yeah, we got to calm it on down. So thank you all in the Wolf Pack and in the Golden Domers. And remember, we walk by faith and not by sight. In Jesus' name, amen. Be seeing you again next week.